What we have to always remember, and I say this to my children, that how every rule and regulation that we have that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has stipulated upon us is to protect us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
God doesn't tell us anything on a whim because He wants us to live a hard life. It's to protect us. But the reason why we have our maharim around is because they're not emotionally involved. They are you a good person for my daughter, sister, and niece? What do you do? What's your character like? Ask these questions, and you're not suitable. You're gone. Us as female, especially the younger you are, the more naive you are. We
Yeah.
are emotional. Yeah, we fall for the nonsense. We can't sieve between the truth and the lies. We can't see contradictions because now we're in love and we're looking at you and thinking you're the one that we want, and you start to overlook certain things that you wouldn't necessarily do if it wasn't for the fact that your heart, you're ruling with your heart. Hence why we have maharim. Your dad's going to say to sit down. Yeah, this guy, for example, I don't want to just put out things out there and then the person said, well, I have that. It's not fair. A person will have a certain situation that if I said to you, Coulter, there's this guy and he's got X, Y, and Z, would you marry him? You'd be like, no. Why would you bring him to me? Fast forward, you've met him at an event and he say bringing in the equipment, and then he gave you his number, you get to know him, you're talking to him, he's funny, he's interesting, he's intelligent. Then he tells you I've got X, Y, and Z, you are going to overlook it. Why? Because you're already falling for him. You already like him. You already are attracted to him. So your brain is now not communicating with your heart. There's a disconnect. And who suffers from it in the future? You and him.
Yeah.
Because you're two people. And so eventually you're going to be like, well, hold on a minute. I don't like that you've got this and this. I've never liked it, but I overlooked it because I fell for you. And then you've got yourself in this situation. So I've gone on a bit. The point is, everything that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to us is to protect us, not to control us, or to, like our Muslim women, they're controlled, they're, subjugated, they're oppressed. We're not. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is trying to protect our heart, because we do lose it very, very, very quickly, because that's what we are. We're the emotional half. Yeah, we're the nurturers, the caregivers, the lovers. They're the protectors, the providers. We've each got a role. So just follow the Quran and the Sunnah and you will not lose.
And everyone will be fine.
Yeah, and you will get what's written for you.
Yeah, that's true.
For you.
That's true. How do you
I think the sister wanted to say something.
You want to say something?
It's just gone out of my mind now.
Sorry.
We'll come around to it.
Yeah.
Earlier Fatiha, you were saying something about attraction, about you attract who you put out there. So tell us how that works.
Well, positive thought is way more powerful than a negative thought. So I think just at a basic kind of psychology level, it's just better just to be positive. It's like when you are thinking about what you want, and when you're visualizing it, you are at a different kind of frequency, and you're actually making you're doing a prayer to God that this is what I want, and you're spending that time and thinking and visualization in that. So just by being in that state, inshallah, you will attract it. So there's I mean, a lot of people say, a lot of women say, I don't want a bad boy, I don't want a bad. But then when you kind of look at their kind of experience and their history, there is, quite a few bad boys in their histories, because they keep saying, I don't want this. But if you switch it around saying, I want someone who's good, I want someone who's got a good character, I want someone who's from a good family, you will be going out there, or not going out there right now, but you will be looking at an individual through kind of positive lens rather than through negative lens. So that's how I would say attraction would work on that level, from what I've kind of mentioned. But I think with attraction, I think we've got the natural kind of inclinations where we come across someone, and then they have this physiological impact on us. So I guess it's that thing of, if we come across someone who I don't know whether I mentioned it here. Wow, I'm just like forgetting things, pregnancy brain. But yeah, if you come across, I'm so sorry, like I've gone blank now.
It's okay. It's okay. Don't worry about it. We've got about 2 more questions, 2 to 3 questions, and then do you want to come? We'll circle back to it. Yeah. um,
Sounds
let's
good.
let's talk about the halal matchmaking apps. Are they actually halal?
The halal dating apps out there.
Yeah.
I think the founders probably have gone into developing it with the best of intentions, but
Mm.
human beings are imperfect. So it's the people who are going on it, using it, abusing it. You've talked about a lady in the veil. There are competitors out there. So I think, so the halal dating apps takes a very Western approach to finding love, where singles look for singles, and they have that interaction initially, and they may spend a lot of time having that interaction online, and it may not reach the level of actually meeting.
Yeah.
So in that sense, it's not ideal because you've developed that emotional connection, and it may not go anywhere. But also, as you mentioned, Lady in the Veil, there are people on it who are married, who are lying about whether they were divorced or not. They're not being honest. There's from what I've heard from a lot of women who I've spoken to, there's a lot more genuine sisters on it than genuine brothers. So I think in a lot of ways it's not very halal because of where it goes, and the family doesn't get involved, and these relationships take place, and it doesn't amount to marriage. So that's why I just kind of think, and that's why I created Be a Beer, because I could see that there was a gap in the market. I did my research. There's a huge need within the Muslim community for something which is focused on the family side. Because yes, there's all these channels and avenues to meet someone, but then again, there's a lot of people who are not meeting. So it's like, what's happening here?
Yeah.
So it needs to come back to the Quran and Sunnah, and it needs to come back to the family, and it needs to come back to the important, deeper things, rather than the superficial things, such as how this person looks, or what job they do. Not about the character, not about the family background, not about their spirituality. So I think it's important that it goes back to that. So I guess it depends what your experience is around halal dating apps and what you hear about halal dating apps. I have my view, but everyone's view is different, and I don't want to say anything negative towards these halal dating apps. I'm sure the founders have gone into it with good intentions, but human beings are imperfect.
And is your I know you, so your app, the Bia Bia, is it open for people from different ethnicities?
Yes, it is. All ethnicities, Muslim.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah. So any member of the family can set up a profile and look on behalf of their loved one. They need to seek permission first, because that is really important. It's about taking a whole family approach. So parents, siblings, uncles, aunts, even grandparents. I've included that within the app because every family is different. So need to cater to each family setup.
Yeah.
And when the family member swipes through the profiles, gets to see in-depth information depending on which plan they're on, they share that with their loved one, and they will receive an email with a picture, profile information, yes, no, maybe, leave a comment, and that comment goes into the app, so that family member receives that, and they can either continue a dialogue and ask, why are you not interested in this profile? What are your apprehensions around it? And just have that open dialogue. But I think it's really important that the family are quite open and honest and transparent in their approach, and the loved one, the looked for person, is very clear about what they want, and it needs to work both ways in order for it to work properly.
Yeah.
So with Bia Bia, alhamdulillah, we've had a sheikh who's endorsed the app. So Sheikh Dr. Abu Ibrahim.
Yeah.
So he's endorsed the app. His background is in family law. So inshallah, it's there are masjids who are hearing more about the app. So inshallah, I will push it through the masjids, because I think it's really important that the right people are on it. Because unfortunately, with these halal dating apps, it's singles going on it. There hasn't been an app for family, so there are people on the app who are singles looking for themselves, but they're not the target audience. It's the family. So that's something which I need to kind of really work hard on to get the right message out there, so that the right people are on it, so that it's actually achieving what it's intended to achieve. So that's the plan.
Okay.
So can I just two things I'd like to say. First of all, I feel like as long as the app is in their profile or in their statement, they're saying, look, we want the halal matrimony, and people need to keep it clean, and they need to do all these things. That's all they can do. They can't really police what people are saying and doing to each other, because imagine you've got, say, 10,000 people on your books. It's impossible for you to monitor every single conversation.
Yeah.
Hence why, especially we're adults, it's not always fair to blame the providers of this service, because they can be as Islamic as they want to be, but it's down to the people. So they have to have, they have some responsibility towards attracting the right type of people and trying to make sure they are Muslim, make sure they're telling the truth. But really and truly, how can you tell? How are you able to tell who's lying, who's not? Apart from asking for birth certificates, the passport, you can't do that. That's an infringement of privacy. Okay, that's the first thing I wanted to say. So a lot of the times we have to take responsibility for ourselves. And because you have to regulate your own Islam, you have to regulate your own desires. Number two, I'm interested to ask, what happened? What have you got anything that could help? For example, reverts, because reverts don't have families, they don't have anybody that they can bring forward, and also Muslims that have broken down relations with their families, because some families don't even want their family members to be practicing, and when they do, they break down. Some families have come from broken homes. Lots of different reasons why a person can find themselves with no family members. Does your organisation have any?
So
anything for them?
Lady in the Veil, the app is primarily for the family. However, singles can go on it and look for themselves, as long as they are genuine and sincere in their intention. But that's something which I can't monitor. Knows best. But also when they're interacting with another user, it's another family member. So it is around having good interactions, good manners. It's not around sending inappropriate pictures or having inappropriate conversations, which take place in these halal dating apps. So I'm sure you've both heard many stories.
Thousands, hundreds of stories.
So in that sense, yes, reverts who they can use the app for sure. And people who are, in terms of their family breakdown, they can also use it, but primarily it's on the family side, because
just to clarify, so if a single person or a revert comes onto your page, they would be speaking to family members.
Yes.
Great. Okay.
Inshallah, that the hope is the right people are on it, because I mean with the app, it went live last July. We've had a lot of families on it, but we do have a lot of singles on it. But it's because singles are used to being on these apps, so they think, here's a new app, let me go on it. But it's not the same. It's not the same concept as other halal dating apps. It is for the family to use.
It's the first time I've heard of this, mashallah. I haven't heard of this one before.
I mean, I haven't marketed it that much because I went live July, and it's around kind of getting things started. And alhamdulillah has blessed me, so inshallah I will have a baby at some point soon. So that's kind of delayed things, but now I'm back into kind of pushing it out there. So that's probably why you haven't heard of it. But now I'm trying to kind of get people to know about it.
Inshallah.
MashaAllah. We do have a question. That question, let's go to it after this last question that I have for you guys, which is something I think it's worth talking about. It's worth at least adding to this podcast, because it's something that as an Islamic Muslim community, it's actually affecting the way. Okay, let me ask the question. This is the question, okay? So, what are so what society and culture focuses on in terms of these steps and the way we choose our the spouse? what I mean is there are certain cultures, let's say the Arabs, the Asians, who where the parents make it hard for their kids to get married, to do it the halal way, where and because of that the kids will probably take longer for them to get married, maybe maybe until then they might end up doing something that is haram. So, and that's because the parents are not allowing their kids to just marry whoever they want, you know. I'm sure there's some Arabs, not all Arabs, I mean, we Moroccans were not like that, Algerians are not like that, but I'm sure some Saudis, the Asians, Pakistanis and Indians and Mongolis, they insist, the parents insist that if their kids don't marry someone from the same tribe as them, then they can't get married, and they'll have to wait until they find this person. And it, you know, and it makes it hard for the kids to, you know, to get married. It just makes marriage so much harder. What do you say about that?
Who do you want to speak?
Well, let's go. Okay, let's go with Fatiha, because so Fatiha, you're Bengali, right? You say you're Bengali?
Yes.
Yeah, from Bangladesh, and I know you know, Bengalis, they have this within your community, and a lot of Bangladeshi people are pretty strong with with this particular, you know. Give me your answer, please.
No, I hear what you're saying. I think times are changing. I think like from my experience, my family, alhamdulillah, they've been quite. So my husband is an Englishman, Riva.
Oh,
so
sis! Mashallah, that's good.
So I think it's if your family's like that, it's about having that dialogue with them, because essentially you will be making that end decision, and you need to. It's best for you to go on that journey together. Yes, there are a lot of families, and I've heard of a lot of families where Bangladeshi parents may be a bit more old school, and say that, you know, the person who you marry has to be from this area of Bangladesh, or from that area, and from this family. But I feel like things are changing, but it is down to the individual to really be patient with their family as well, and just explain to them so that they understand. I think parents do have hopefully the best interest at heart, but they're going by what they know and from their experience and what they think works. But it's down to you to kind of be able to say, Mum, Dad, you know, like this is who I am, this is what I like, this is the kind of person I'm after, this is what Islam says. And if they don't understand it, then, and you're butting heads, get other people involved, like the local imam, possibly, someone who's neutral but is going to give hopefully the right advice to kind of guide it in the right way. But I do understand within the Pakistani community, Bangladeshi community, there are these difficulties, and within the Arab community. But this is people. People are imperfect, and families are imperfect, and some are more extreme in their approach than others. But I would say majority of families aren't. And you hear about the few the families who are a bit more extreme.
I went to Queen Mary University of London.
Yeah.
We all, yes, it's a hub for the Asian, you know,
Yeah.
the Asian communities. Like all of my friends from uni are from Pakistan, Bangladesh, Afghanistan, and so I've for 4 years throughout my university, that was my entourage.
Yeah.
So I've learned a lot about
Yeah.
the Asian culture. And this was something that they all had to stick to. A lot of them don't have a choice. Like, they really have to marry someone from their own tribe. Otherwise, their family are just... That whole marriage is... That person will be looked down at. And whoever else in the family marries the person from, the person who their family chooses, then they're up here, and everyone else is not really approved upon. I know the times are changing, and probably like, let's say, the people my age, when they have their kids, especially my friends, because you know, I have this conversation a lot with them. They do, you know, they do say, you know, with our kids, we're not gonna do that. They can marry whoever they want, but they know they have to do that. So I guess we're like in that, we are that generation that, you know, has to obey by, I don't know, the culture, I guess.
Unfortunately, yeah, I think some families do take it a bit extreme, and it's more the culture, and it's not the faith, it's not the religion.
No, we know it's not the religion. It's
It's
taking,
easy and
yeah.
straightforward. So, in culturally, in that sense, extreme situations, I don't really agree with that. I think each person should hear their family out as to why you should marry a person or not marry a person, get the insights. If you really want to marry someone, seek counsel, and see how you can work with your family, because marriage is between the families, and hopefully initially it may be very difficult, but with patience and with prayer, hopefully things will be easier later on. But I think I feel majority of families aren't like that, but there are some more stricter families, and it's like that within different communities
Communities, yeah.
within the Ummah. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's just Pakistanis and Bangladeshis. It happens in Somali families as well, but not all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, can I just wade in here?
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure. Go for it.
Unfortunately, there isn't a magic solution to this
No.
problem. This is a problem that is cultural, and it's
Yeah.
in almost every single culture. We just
Yeah.
have different prejudices.
Yeah.
Yeah, every culture has a prejudice towards a different culture.
Yeah.
So some cultures, it could be the color of their skin, colorism. Some
Yeah.
cultures is literally marrying outside your culture is a taboo. The only way that we can try and make a change is through education.
Yeah.
These elderly people, they're just uneducated. They've mixed culture and religion, and they actually think it's acceptable to not marry, not allow their daughters, and it's mostly or even the boys actually, to be honest.
Yeah.
The boys and the
Both.
girls want to marry outside their culture.
Yeah.
They don't realize that this is not a part of the deen. Now, it is permissible to marry in your culture. There's nothing wrong with that, to continue your cultural heritage, to continue your cultural language. There's nothing wrong with that per se. But if your child wants to marry somebody outside your culture or somebody from a different particular skin tone, then you shouldn't say no because of that. That's when it becomes haram.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you are now discriminating against another person for something other than what the Prophet ﷺ told you to discriminate against.
Mm-hmm.
The only way is through education. Now, so it's normally parents in their 60s. You find the ones in their 50s, they're not as bad, and one in their 40s. And my parents, they were young parents. I didn't have that problem. I married a white revert, had kids with it. So that wasn't an issue for my parents. And also Moroccans, in our culture, we're very mixed. We have other cultures. It's just their culture. It's not like, it's so embedded in their culture that they don't even think they're saying anything wrong when they say you have to marry a Pakistani, you have to marry a Bengali, you have to marry a Somali. They don't even think, they just think, this is it. We want our bloodline and our language to continue. There's, you can't do anything other than that. Now, we have to be very, very careful when we're speaking about not listening to our parents and not obeying them, because yes, you can go to the imam, and the imam can question your parents, and then they can say, why are you rejecting him or her? And then if it's something to do that something's against Islam, it's not Islamic what they're doing, the imam can then
intervene,
make a verdict, intervene, and marry you. The problem with that is now you're going to sever ties with your parents, you're going to sever ties with your siblings and your community. And so again, like I'm saying, it's not something that can't be done if you really feel this person is the right person for you and you feel that they're a good person and you really want to marry them. You just have to be very aware of the consequences, because at the end of the day, and a lot of the times, parents do know best. Not when it comes to not when it comes to race and culture. When I'm going to talk when it comes to education, we're going to move now to the financial side. Yeah, a lot of times you hear from my children's generation, my generation, online, of children complaining about their parents only wanting somebody with a degree, only wanting somebody with a car, only wanting somebody with certain characteristics. Now, that's because parents, they've already lived life and they've got a wealth of experience. I was like that when I was younger. When I was younger, I was like, no, doesn't have to have an education, doesn't have to have this, as long as he's Muslim, as long as he's practicing, alhamdulillah, he's got a beard, he's got his suwak, he's got his sunnah, I'm good. That was a mistake, because a lot of times your education comes in really handy, just for the simple fact, and just don't get me wrong, I'm not saying you can only marry somebody with a degree, but it's very important to marry somebody who has aspirations, who has goals in life.
Yeah.
For example, somebody with a degree, forget the type of degree he did, it's not important.
Yeah.
The fact that he submitted his essays, he did his oh god, I'm losing dissertation.
Dissertation.
Yeah, he took his time out to do his dissertation. That means what? He was committed. He committed 3 years to a subject. That says a lot about a person.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe he hasn't got a degree, but he's starting up his own business.
Yeah.
Or he's learning a trade, and he's stuck to that trade, even though that trade is difficult for him. It shows what? Strength of character.
Yeah.
Okay. So sometimes parents do know best. You should listen to your parents, weigh up what they've got to say.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you have to be robots, but remember, your parents want the best for you. You know, I am speaking with a parent hat, but that's because, you know, I've learned from my parents not listening, and also the fact that I have adults, just to know, this is for the listeners out there, that your parents really only want the best for you. So when they're saying they want somebody with an education, or they want someone to house you, or they want you to have a nice wedding, or they want you to have a decent mahar, it's because they want the best for you. Okay, so, you know, weigh up. You know, don't have the attitude of my parents and ignore them. That was just my parents. No.
Yeah.
You know, these are your parents. They love you and they want what's best for you, but at the same time, they can make mistakes, and they do make mistakes.
They're human.
You know, they do, because, you know, again, we're emotional, and every parent thinks their children are diamonds and deserve the best and are the best. You know, that's just natural. So you just find the middle ground for yourself, and you know, remember, they love you.
And seek to understand where they're coming from, and give them an opportunity to understand where you're coming from. So that dialogue and that communication is so important, and the patience and prayer around it.
Yeah.
And the insights, as I mentioned, the insights from so vital. So don't push that away. It comes from a good place.
And so, you know, the truth of the matter is, when it goes wrong, you always go back to your family.
Yeah. They're the ones who are going to take care of you.
Yeah, the times of hardship, and you all have hardships. Life is that way. You'll either have a conflict with your husband, or Allah will test you with something in your marriage. Okay? You always lean on your family. Yeah. So, you know, it's not a good idea to reject them and turn away from them just because there's something that you don't agree, because you will always need your family.
And do not cut ties.
Yeah, they're so important.
Yeah, it is quite common that a lot of people marry who they want, and because they didn't understand their family, where they were coming from, they're like, I'm going to go and marry who I cut ties, and then have that resentment in the future, and for a long time. But everyone wants their family, at a deeper level, everyone wants their family to be on board. You want to share these positive experiences of marriage and bringing children into the world. So it's so important just to have your family on board and get to know the family you get to marry, and just have a positive, happy life, blissful life, and just have it easy. Why make it difficult? It doesn't need to be difficult.
That's true.
Yeah, and like a communication.
Yeah.
That's key.
You know, for parents, especially if they're Muslim parents, obviously, you bring them the Quran and the Sunnah in black and white, and you read it out to them, and you say, look, this is haram. This is what you're doing. Allah says don't do it. Prophet says don't do it. They might reject it at the beginning because of their pride, but hopefully it will sink in. And then bring, like we said, bring the imam, you know, bring people that they respect to speak to them. Don't give up on trying to get your parents' blessings, because, you know, they only want what's best for you. And if they really, really, really look deep down and they are God conscious, they will come round, inshallah.
You have to be patient.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. We literally have one question. Someone asked, what's your opinion on love between a Muslim and a Christian partner? What do you think are the biggest challenge in such a relationship? Everything. Okay. Who wants to go for this one?
Well, Christianity and Islam were brothers in faith. So you can understand why there will be attraction, depending on who you're attracted to, who the person is. So I think, yeah, it's understandable that you would be attracted to different people who are non-Muslim, who may have like character traits
Versus-
which you may not have come across
Mm.
amongst the Muslim brothers. Unfortunately, there are a lot of Muslim brothers who are letting the side down, by mistreating their women, and they really need to work on themselves. And there are non-Muslim men, Christian men, who respect women. No, not all of them. They respect women. They listen to you. They respect, you know, your aspirations, your feelings, all those kind of things. And this is something which Muslim men need to work on. The ones who are falling short in that area, they need to work on developing. So I can see why, a Muslim woman or man will be attracted to a Christian man or woman. There are similarities, but I guess if a woman's going to get married, is planning to marry a Christian man, generally, well, the man needs to be, come to Islam
Convert.
in order for it to happen. Yeah. So where for a man, obviously, he can marry the woman of the book. So yeah.
Yeah.
You know, the women of the book have to be chaste. There
Yeah.
are conditions in,
Yeah.
you know, people just running away, marry just anybody.
Oh yeah,
You know,
of course.
she has to be chaste, and she has to,
Yeah.
you know, believe in the
Yeah.
Orthodox Christianity. Thou shalt
Yeah.
not lie, thou shalt not
Yeah.
steal, they shouldn't drink alcohol, these kind of things.
Mhm.
And then it becomes halal, and that's even the Jewish woman.
Yeah.
Now, the only issues that I see, and I've seen it, you know,
Mhm.
firsthand, is normally at the beginning the relationship is good, it's fine, it's happy. It's when the children come in, it's when you have children that you normally butt heads. Even with when what do you call it, different sects marry each other. You know, we have this situation where everybody wants their child to follow in what they believe in. All of a sudden things that weren't important become important.
Yeah.
So, you know, children are taken to the church, children are given pork, children are taught about Easter and all these things, and then the couple they now are butting horns. Okay, although as a Muslim, when a Muslim man marries a Christian woman, the children take the religion of the father. That's easier said than done. Yeah, and by name they've taken Islam, but by practicality, the children are with their mum.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so the mum is the one that's going to be the teacher. If she's, mashallah, there are a lot of Christian women that are doing really, really well. I've seen it online. You know, they take their children to the mosque. They don't feed them anything haram. They don't, you know, that's just there's a minority. The majority will take them to the church, and what happens is that child psychologically is confused. So you have a lot of times online, when you ask young people, what are they? I'm half Muslim, half Christian. I'm half Muslim, I'm half Sikh. You see, there's no such thing as that in Islam. You're either Muslim or you're a non-Muslim. So for me, my issue would be for the children. Yeah, you're an adult. That's between you and Allah. Yeah, but my heart bleeds for the children that are going to grow up psychologically, you know, emotionally, not knowing they're having a tug of war. You know, so on Eid he's going to the masjid, Christmas is going to the church. So for me personally, I don't recommend it unless it's like there are no Muslim women left
In
and
the
now
world.
we need to get married to be halal. I'm going to marry a Christian. It might be an unpopular opinion, but for the children, this is my opinion, because I have seen it firsthand. My next door neighbors were that. So when there's Pakistani and the woman was Christian, when he would go to work, she'd do a big bacon fry up.
Really?
Yeah, you know, because they had problems. They were having marriage problems. So she was like, "Is it?" And then she would, you know, when he wasn't around, she would give them wine, even though they were young.
Oh my goodness.
And they grew up very, very confused. They were Muslim, Christian. They just, and I think the eldest boy, he became atheist.
Oh my God.
Yeah, because he was like, none of this makes any sense.
Yes.
I go to the masjid, I go to the church, I'm celebrating Easter, I'm celebrating Eid. It was too much. He just said, you know what, religion doesn't make any sense. So I've seen it firsthand. I wouldn't recommend it personally. A Muslim, find a Muslim sister. You know, if she's a revert, alhamdulillah. If he's a revert, alhamdulillah. And again, this revert thing, it's got to be sincere. You know, again, quite a lot of my friends, you know, had boyfriends that were black, and mashallah, Jamaican boys, very nice, whatnot. She wanted to marry him. He took him to the masjid, shahada. Now he's Muslim, but he's not Muslim. You know, so you know, Allah knows the intentions. You know,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, Allah put us on this earth to worship Him. We have to remember that. This is just a test. We're in this dunya, alhamdulillah, get married, have children, live, love. But the reality is we're all going to go back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nothing is worth our akhirah. A man, money, nothing is worth our akhirah. So, you know, if you find the man you want, give him proper dawah, real dawah. Make sure it's sincere. Make sure he comes to Allah really from his heart. Inshallah, you know, if you tell someone the truth, they will always come to the truth. Islam is the truth.
Yeah.
There's no need to be worried. You give somebody sincere dawah, inshallah, he will come to Islam.
Yeah. Well, I guess say just Germany you got your answer. You got your answer.
Again, I'm not a scholar. I'm not you know, I'm just a Muslim woman who's, you know, trying her best. So, you know, again, if you don't agree with anything that I've said, that's not apart from that's not in the Quran and Sunnah. That's from me. And any mistakes I made is from me. Anything that I said is from.
I guess, look, the Quran and Sunnah does tell us what we can and cannot marry. You know, a Muslim man can marry a woman of the book, and a Muslim woman cannot marry anyone else who's not a Muslim. And at the end of the day, if a Muslim man marries a woman from the book, it will, I mean, let's just be realistic. It's difficult because if you are brought up as a Muslim, even though someone else from the other religion have like good ideals, you still will get before kids. You know, you still will disagree on a lot of things. It's like you're on a different book, you know, a different universe. Like it's different. Like you live your life.
We love Allah so much, and you love your husband, your partner so much. But the thing that your partner doesn't believe in Allah.
Yeah.
That's a hard one to swallow. I mean, when you really deep it and you think about it, the person that you share your bedroom with, the person you give birth to their children, he doesn't believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He doesn't believe that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was the last and final messenger. It's very hard to reconcile the heart with that.
Exactly.
And so it maybe consciously or unconsciously, this is going to breed some sort of resentment. Unless you are disconnected. If you're disconnected from Allah, then this is not going to
be a problem,
an issue for you.
Yeah.
You know, and so this is why, for me, my partner has to love Allah. He has to, you know,
it's very important.
It's very, very, very important.
Very important. I mean, for us as Muslims, like that is the assess, like that's like the foundation, like that you build on, like that's what you start with. If you don't have that, like we really don't have anything in common, this relationship would never work unless if I'm not religious. But if I'm trying to, if I want, like if that's something that's, you know, it's as a Muslim, it's important to us.
When you have marital discord and issues, what would we say? We go back to the Quran and Sunnah.
Yeah.
We can't agree on something. We let Allah and His Messenger
to decide,
sort out the problem for us.
Exactly.
How do you do that with somebody who doesn't believe? You know, and how do we discipline our children? How do we teach our children if we've got two different ways of life? It's you know, it's very hard. And the reason why people, a woman Muslim can't marry a kafir man isn't because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala he's not being fair. It's because the woman in her nature follows her husband. The woman in nature loves her husband. She looks up to him, and she is more likely to be swayed. Unfortunately, this is the truth. And also the lineage. The children will then belong to the religion of the father. So this is why it's not, oh, you know, one rule for men, one rule for women, because it's a misogynist religion. It's not. It's just Allah created us with our natures. He knows our natures. You know, you're more likely to take the word of your husband than you are the word once you're married. You know, this is just how it is. You're more likely to follow the sect of your husband. If your husband came home and decided to be something different and he said it to you with passion and he explained it to you, you're more likely to agree with him and follow him. And I've seen that. I've seen sisters who will jump from aqidah to aqidah because of their husband. You know, I've seen sisters who were, you know, they're not wearing, you know, normal, no hijab, nothing, adi. Next minute, I meet her the next week, she's blacked out, niqab, everything, gloves, everything, because I. And then, you know, so, and vice versa, when husband got weak, it all came off. We do look up to our husbands and we follow them, and it's just a reality, you know. And I'm not a feminist, you know, I believe in women's rights, and Allah gave us rights way before, long time ago, but I also believe in the nature of women. This is it. This is the truth. You know, our nature is that we do love our men, and we do we tend to be swayed by them.
I mean,
I've seen it.
yeah, that's
seen
true. That's true. But I'm guessing like there is some kind of limit where, I mean, we're not dumb. Come on.
No. Look, say for example, me. Yeah, my aqidah, I learnt my deen myself before I got married. Yeah,
Okay.
I started practicing my religion before I got married. I was like this before I got married. So when I got married, my husband, for example, just the tahiyyat, he does this with his finger, I do this. There's
Yeah.
a difference in fiqh.
Mm.
Tried to convince me to do it like his way. I didn't. I continued my way. Why? Because I'd already learned this myself. I was deep and entrenched in my own aqidah, in my own way. Yeah, this I wouldn't move from. So I'm not saying that every single woman, she's going to come her husband and say to her, right, Christianity, she goes running to war. I'm not. What I'm saying is, in the whole, we do tend to look up to our husbands and listen to them. If they bring us something that sounds tangible, it sounds important, and it makes sense, we will tend to follow him. I'm not saying that we're brain dead and we're just there and whatever our husbands say, we follow them. So I hope I didn't you got that misconstrued. They're women, mashallah, we are strong. We have got our own minds. We have got our own, intellect. But in our natures, we do listen to our husbands and we look up to them, because it's just, anyway, that's what I think. Unfortunately, I've seen so many women, follow their husbands in things that are wrong, as well as things that are right.
Do you think
so speaking from experience?
Do you think it's vice versa? Do you think the man would also maybe follow the woman if she persuades?
If you're a strong woman, yes. If you're a strong woman, absolutely. My husband's followed me in a lot of things.
Yeah.
In a lot of things, but you have to have that strength of character, is it? Like Khadija radiallahu anha, we differ in characters, but like I said, the vast majority of women are quite emotional. We I don't know, I think I'm kind of digging myself a little hole now. People are going to go, she's either women are silly and women are dumb and they just follow men, I don't know, I would say the minority of women are really like strong where the man will follow them. I think it's the majority. I would say the majority the way around.
I think that's why it's important, before you get married, focus on developing yourself.
Absolutely.
And being as authentic as possible. Focus on who you are and what your values are, what you're going to hold on to. And yes, there will be some tensions with, being a Muslim woman, even marrying a Muslim man, there will be some tensions around things, but it's about not losing out on what's important to you. So I think that's just really important.
Yeah.
As long as you have clear communication and you try your best to understand the other person's point of view, if you disagree with it, agree to disagree, and come from an angle of love and mercy, and just have really good intentions. So I think that's really, and people who pray together stay together. So faith is important, and I would say, for me, from my perspective, I think finding someone with good character is so important. And you can come across someone who is spiritual and who may not be the most religious person, but they want to grow with you, and you can grow together. And inshallah, that will bring barakah to the marriage. So I think that's really important. So I've had many stories where women have married men who tick all the boxes and who is like a religious brother, but actually in reality and in practice, there's been a lot of abuse, and people use religion to abuse and oppress their women. It's not the majority of people, but it does happen. So I think character is so important, and sincerity, and growing and having good communication and love and mercy.
Well,
knowing that no one's perfect.
Yeah, we're all
nobody is perfect. We're all sinners. We all make mistakes.
But be the best of sinners.
And we have different strengths and weaknesses. We have in Islam, as a Muslim, we have different strengths and weaknesses. Like, my strength could be my hijab, but my weakness may be my prayer. I don't pray on time, or I don't do my adhkar, or don't do any nafil, or I gossip, or and then somebody else, like your strength could be, mashallah, you pray all your prayers, you don't talk about nobody. We all have different strengths and weaknesses, and we just have to understand that at the end of the day, as long as we're kind and we try to be the best Muslim that we can be. That's all.
Matters.
That's what's really that important. And look for the same in a spouse.
Mm.
Somebody who's kind, somebody who's nice, somebody who listens.
Respects
You know, it's not about him. Sorry?
Someone who respects
Respects
you.
your views.
Respect is so
Absolutely.
important.
Doesn't
Yeah.
undermine you, I guess. You
Yeah.
know, doesn't make you feel like you're,
Stupid.
you know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
underneath him or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. Well,
You know, communication is really important.
yeah.
Mhm.
If you don't have anything to add, do you?
No.
No. Well, I just want to say that was it with the questions. Thank you so much for doing this podcast. I personally learned a lot, and I really appreciate that you guys took the time to answer these questions and to help us find solutions to some, you know, to some. I get they're not problems, but you know, just find solutions. I just want to finish by saying, may Allah help every Muslim out there, women or men, find you know, find the other half, someone that, you know, loves them for who they are, respects them, and you know, someone who together can go to the Jannah and Allahumma ameen.
Okay, jazakallah khairan. And anything that I said which was good is from Allah. Anything that I said which was wrong is from myself. I hope I didn't offend anybody. I love everybody for the sake of Allah. Stay safe, stay home, inshallah. Know that after hardship comes ease. Inshallah, soon we'll go back to normal, and you know, everybody will find inshallah a spouse that's right for them. Bi'idhnillah.
I mean,
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Ameen.
And it's nice meeting you, sister.
Yeah,
I hope
you
your
too.
business goes well, inshallah, from strength to
Thank you
strength.
so much. We'll stay in touch, inshallah.
Inshallah, definitely.
Yeah.
Bi'idhnillah.
all right, thank
And
you
I hope
guys.
Everyone has a good Ramadan. So take
Yes,
care.
Ramadan Mubarak. Awashirkum Baroka. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Leave a comment if you want to. Obviously, check out Bia Bia Fatiha's app. I'm gonna leave the link for the app in the comment below. And if you have any questions, I'm also gonna leave Lady in the Veil's IG. And do you have Instagram, Facebook, and
You know what,
YouTube as
Shah,
well?
if you don't mind me saying, I'm going to start, inshallah, an Islamic Q&A on Instagram with me and my sister, for those who want to, all brothers, just basic questions. We're not scholars. We do have a couple of sisters on our team that are Talibat al-Ilm. They're studying Sharia and they have access to Shuyukh. So I'll be doing that on Instagram, and on my YouTube I'll be doing Ask Auntie Dilemmas with 2 or 3 of my daughters, inshallah. That's the cartoon. It's going to be a podcast. So yeah, just go on my Instagram, Lady in the Veil, or my YouTube, Lady in the Veil, inshallah.
I will leave all of your details below so that they can contact you in all of your social media platforms, and if you have any websites, I will leave it below as well. And yeah, and I will also send you guys the link to this so you can share it as well if you want to. Again, thank you guys for coming. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you guys for the next podcast. Ramadan Mubarak. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum
Wa
salam.
alaikum salam.